Hey, welcome back to the We Talkin Bout Art podcast. It's James here with my brother Nate.
Hey yo.
Today we're talking about Final Fantasy Remake, and Normura. So it's just as much about a piece of art this time as it is about the artists themselves. I'm kind of taking a back seat in this one because I've never played FF Remake. I've never played World Ends With You. I played the first Kingdom Hearts. That was about it. And I've played a little bit of Final Fantasy VII, the original, but couldn't really get into it because I'm fucking Zoomer brained. So
Turn-based combat. There's a reason why it's called base, James.
Yeah, Nate is gonna take the lead on this one.
Well,
so I guess we'll structure this with Nate talking about what do you love about the original. By the way, for context, we're both in our late 20s, so I guess that's kind of late 20s, early 30s, kind of the age range of people that actually give a shit about the original Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, I mean, early 30s. I mean, later 30s, honestly, because especially since they were like kids to teens when they first played it, compared to like me being a literal diaper wearing child, like just playing on the PS. I don't know. FF7 was really great, obviously because it's one of the best selling PS2 games of all time, but because it was like the first Final Fantasy that was more than just heroes beat the darkness. The actual director was like, yeah, I lost my mom and I wanted to make a game that was kind of about loss and like dealing with loss, trying to find yourself in the dark times to come, and like having friends that can actually compel you to become a better person. Especially with Cloud, as we all know, Cloud being one of the most recognizable Final Fantasy characters to date.
My main exposure to Cloud is through Super Smash.
Yeah, Super Smash Bros. Yeah, exactly.
Where he's just stoic.
And that's for a lot. That's for a lot of the kids, especially who were playing Smash Bros. Is Cloud was.
Well, is Cloud in the original stoic dude with big sword?
So that is
like, because I've also heard the opposite, that he's emotional crybaby.
So that's the thing. So in the very beginning of FF7, he's the soldier first class. He's trying to be cool. You know what I mean? And it's not that he's trying to be. It's not all he knows. All he knows is to be the cool soldier first.
And
class.
he's like a mercenary, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, so he tries to be a mercenary.
He's like in a mercenary band in like a futuristic, like
semi-futuristic,
almost like cyberpunk setting.
Steampunk. Yeah, steampunk setting. Where, he's trying to be a mercenary, trying to make a name for himself.
I always thought that the steampunk setting was interesting. Are they fighting against, like, corporations? Or?
So that's the thing. They are fighting against.
They are? Okay.
Mako
so
Energy,
like
with Shinra. Shinra's the main antagonist, semi-main antagonist, at least for them.
Does it have anything interesting to say about sort of corporatocracy?
You see, so especially when you leave Midgard and you see like all these other towns and villages where, so you realize, especially when you come out of Midgard the first time, everything around Midgard is dead.
Yeah.
Like the entire land is barren, dead. And then you actually go traveling, you're like, hey, there's grass and mountains and stuff. Right. It makes you think for a little bit. Then when you go to other towns that have had Mako reactors and had Shinra presences, you realize, oh shit, there's a lot of these dead things. There's a lot of dilapidated towns. There's a lot of dilapidated people. And you're like,
Wait, so this energy system, what is it, like a sort of analog for like nuclear power plants or something?
Nuclear power plants. I mean, it's just mainly in more of human greed that takes too much from the world instead of actually coexisting with the world.
Okay.
In a sense that like, there's these other towns in the game where they're coexisting with the world, but they're not doing anything bad to the world. Cosmo Canyon, perfect example. Red 13's original village. It's like this thing on a mountain. It's got a little canyon underneath it, and they live alongside nature. They're very spiritual. Obviously, it's very on the nose, early late 90s. It's very spiritual, very nomadic.
You think it's kind of like the idea of like sort of pre and post industrial Japan.
Yeah.
It's kind of the idea of it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's a really good way of looking at it too. Like that's something I would have had to think about unless you said it right now. Like that was actually really good verbiage of that. Yeah, I mean, what's really nice about the idea is that like Shinra itself as a company is like this just generally evil company, but like not everyone in Shinra is this greedy piece of shit. Like there are people that are like trying.
They're Suzakuing it, trying to change it from
the inside. That's the problem with systems that are too ingrained into the world. You can't really change from the inside without a big fucking change. And that's the whole point of the game. Like you need change. And of course, Aerith's death being one of the biggest things in all video games is like the big change for Cloud. It breaks him, especially Sephiroth taking him over. It breaks him. He doesn't understand how to get past this loss because he lost Zack.
So just going back, what is Cloud's character arc over the original Final Fantasy?
In the original Final Fantasy, Cloud is he's mercenary. He hides. He's trying to encapsulate his Sephiroth because for him, Sephiroth is the pinnacle of what a man is, right? Yeah, Sephiroth is the soldier,
right?
The one and only soldier, right? And he's like, I'm gonna be as cool as Sephiroth one day. So one day Sephiroth's, he's gonna look at me and be like, "You're a first class soldier." I swear, he's gonna give me that pat on the back that I've always wanted.
Right.
And along the way, of course, and especially for those who've played at the end of the first disc, when you see Sephiroth's sword, and you're like, "Oh shit!" And only Cloud knows, "Oh shit, that's Sephiroth." You're like, why would Sephiroth do this? Right? Sephiroth's he's cool though. He's a soldier, first class. And then as the story goes, you realize Sephiroth is very different from Cloud in that, especially from any soldier, is that Sephiroth doesn't have humanity, doesn't have feelings, doesn't have any emotion, doesn't have any connection, doesn't have any empathy for anyone. And then it's almost like, Cloud, this is the guy you're emulating? This guy? This inhumane being is the guy you're emulating. And now, suddenly in Cloud's head, he's like, no, instead of being Sephiroth, I want to beat Sephiroth. Yeah, that'll prove me as an actual person. That'll prove my existence.
And then he gets curb stomped.
And then you realize, and then of course, obviously, if you've played the game, I guess for context, there's moments where Cloud says things that Tifa would be like, that doesn't make any sense. You weren't actually there in Nibelheim when that happened. How did you know that happened? But she never brings it up. She's like, I'll just let Cloud do his thing, right? I like him. He's cool, all that stuff. And then you also, as the player, would recognize that, hey, how would you know that, Cloud, if you weren't there? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Until you find out, oh shit, Cloud was there. He was just a regular soldier, though.
Yeah.
He was a loser. He was a literal crybaby boy when he was a child, who didn't have any friends besides Tifa, got bullied, wanted to be cool, and then when he saw Sephiroth and heard about the Sephiroth, he's like, I want to be like that guy. I want to be soldier first class.
He didn't have his big sword yet. Everybody looked at him and said,
you got a little baby sword, bro. You got a gun.
Look at this little spiky haired little bitch boy. No big sword.
Protagonist hair, but no big sword. Oof.
Who is Cloud without the big sword? Nobody, dude.
Not a single dude. He was just a grunt, right? And then obviously we find out it's Zack. Zack Fair was the actual soldier that was there in Nibelheim when everything went down. And then when Zack saved Cloud, and then they both got experimented on by Hojo, Zack sacrificed himself for Cloud. They left Cloud alive. They're like, hey, even when he was down on the ground, the soldiers were like, yeah, you're nothing. We don't need to worry about you. That's how low Cloud was.
Did he try, again, Zoomer brain question, did he try going to the gym? Did he try not looking like such a twink?
I mean, he can wield a big sword, so obviously he got to be at least a little bit strong, right? That thing's a hunk of metal. I mean, you ain't lifting that with...
Maybe if he was hitting his macros.
His micro macros. I know, right? I mean, that's what I said. I mean, that's kind of why, I guess, leading into FF7 remake talk, like...
Hold on.
All right. Let's stick with FF7 for now, right? So the big kahuna point is that when all the shit happens, Cloud gets possessed again by Jenova Sephiroth continuously. He's not his own person. He hasn't been his own person since he was a child.
Yeah.
And then after Mako poisoning and Tifa finds him the first time, it's like she gets into his mind and realizes like Cloud has not been his own person since at all. But he has made decisions, and he is a person. So she has to help him contextualize exactly what he is now from what he once was. Realize that, hey, dude, this Sephiroth thing you've got going on, it ain't happening, bro. It's unhealthy. It's not who you should be or who you're supposed to be. You need to come together with yourself and finally admit truth.
Right.
And so, especially with Aerith dying in his arms, like one of his friends dying, it almost broke him. And with Tifa helping him, he's like, you know what? I don't want to be a soldier first class. I've been lying to you guys this entire time. It culminates in this moment where he tells everyone, yeah, I've been lying. I'm actually this really loser guy. And then everyone's like, yeah, actually you're not. You actually were the one who did this and helped me do this. And actually you're the one that got us doing this, and everyone's like, yeah.
So yeah, it's about just not trying to be what you want to be, but accepting who you are and finding strength in who you really are, I guess.
Yes, that's that's a very good way. There's a bunch of other things I'm kind of glossing over because it's been again.
I was asking more about his character, not really the plot.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what culminates in one of my favorite moments. Is especially context wise, Sephiroth has not appeared in the game other than in flashbacks.
like a handful of times.
Yeah, and only in flashbacks because Sephiroth's not the one doing everything; it's Jenova doing everything. And it is until the very end of the game when we have that one-on-one fight. That's not even Sephiroth. That's Cloud's ideal.
Sephiroth is like Boba Fett,
basically
like the original of Star Wars. Yeah.
Which,
by the way, I fucking hate Star Wars. That's another episode.
Oh, we'll get on that one. Oh, I can't wait for that talk. But yeah, it's when Cloud beats Sephiroth that final time. It's not him beating the Sephiroth. It's him beating that old idealized form of Sephiroth that he thought he wanted to be, and realizing no. This is not who I am. This is not who I want to be. This unfeeling, unflinching machine. I am me, Cloud.
Yeah.
It beats Omnislash.
You know, we've talked about the entertainment art trash Venn diagram. How does the plot of the game end? Because from my knowledge, it ends in a kind of trashy, nonsensical way, which I think I would enjoy.
Trashy nonsense. In the way,
like in that it goes off the rails, like Platinum End style.
I mean. It doesn't really go off the rails because you already know there's a meteor about to hit Earth.
Right.
What's off the rails? I mean, that's kind of already off the rails in general. I suppose you're not wrong. It's already off the rails, right? But basically, they activate Holy, which is the ultimate shield spell, but actually that fails. And it's like, oh shit, we're all going to die. But then Aerith, through the live stream, through the souls of the planet itself, is able to actually... What is it? Not stop the meteor, but like lower like what it would do to the planet, basically. So it still destroys,
right?
But it doesn't destroy the entire planet.
How does magic work in this game? Do they ever explain it?
Live stream souls, planet stuff,
dumb hippie bullshit.
Mako energy.
It seems like this.
They do explain it. I'm not doing a very good job of explaining it to you. I would have to. I haven't looked up those supplementary materials in a long time, dude. But needless to say, basically the very end of Final Fantasy VII, in my opinion, is very bittersweet. Because they do save the day, but you don't ever get to see it. You see Red 13 running with his children, and you see the dilapidated Midgard with like grass everywhere. You just hear him roar, and all you hear is children laughing. And in my interpretation, that's it. They won. Like, we didn't get to see it, but we know they won. We know humanity at least got the chance... Or it has at least been given a chance to right its wrongs.
Right.
And that's how the original ending, that's F7 ending in a nutshell.
Yeah, and there's no like definitive sort of resolution between Cloud and Sephiroth.
There never was. Until Advent Children.
Yeah.
Ooh.
You want to talk about Advent Children?
No, I don't want to talk about Advent Children. I fucking hate Advent Children.
What's your problem with Advent Children?
Listen, when I was a kid, yes, Advent Children was the coolest goddamn shit.
Isn't that shit in like 3D?
Yes.
Awful.
Yeah.
I already don't.
To be fair, it doesn't... Okay, that's not true. A lot of the characters look really weird in their 3D forms. Especially that 3D back in the day. But a lot of the fights were actually pretty cool, and they used a lot of weight with a lot of the movements and stuff like that, so I'm like, whatever. I water under the bridge for that. The story is absolutely nonsensical bullshit. 3 fucking Sephiroth clones are out there trying to get other stuff to summon back Sephiroth. Bear doesn't do anything. Tifa's just a fucking damsel in distress. Here's the thing. Cloud already had his character arc in FF7.
Yeah.
He already got through Aerith's death. In Advent Children, he's moping. I just haven't gotten over Aerith, guys. Jeez. I'm sad boy times. These are sad boy emo times, guys. That's kind of where the whole sad boy Cloud comes from. And that's kind of what I like about the Smash Bros. Is that they don't technically use the sad boy. That he still keeps like his original like armor. He still he's got the protagonist, the animated protagonist eyes, the hair, and all that. But he's not emo. But he's not his whimsical self that he is at the very end of the FF7, which is fine. I'm okay with that.
I guess before we get into Remake, so Nomura just did the character design.
Yes, for 7, that's all he did. Character designs. He was there. He made some decisions here and there for certain characters and like certain story beats, but all around he was just a character designer. And to be fair, just like Talkin Bout, he's a really good character designer. He can make some pretty fucking fun ass looking characters.
He has a particular aesthetic.
Yeah, I like his aesthetic too, and not all the time, but I like the way that he keeps with his aesthetic and everything.
Can I be honest? I dislike.
You don't like all the belts, James?
No,
you don't like belts on belts on belts, bro? You don't like wrappings upon belts upon wrappings?
It's like fucking Gundam Wing smoked crack, dude. Like, honestly. Like,
You're not wrong.
I'm not into it at all. Yeah, it's like...
I'll kill you.
You know, like it kind of has like a similar design aesthetic almost to like Trigun.
Yeah.
Except Trigun is like fun.
Yeah, Trigun's fun, though. Trigun's really fun. I fucking love Trigun.
Until it's not fun, and then it's weird. But,
But yeah, like, that's all Nomura was. And that's all he... Honestly, what was his... Let's see.
Because he goes, he goes on to, make other games, Kingdom Hearts.
Kingdom Hearts being the biggest one for him. Tetsuya Nomura. Let's see.
So when was the first time that he was a director?
A director? I cannot remember.
Scroll. You'll be able to see it at the Kingdom Hearts.
Designer, main character designer, concept.
So the first time he was a director was the first Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like an actual director.
Yeah.
And to be fair, like, Kingdom Hearts is kind of a fun game. It wasn't perfect. It had its weird...
I mean, it is. In a lot of ways, Kingdom Hearts reminds me a lot of, like, Final Fantasy X. It's like that plus Disney, basically.
Yeah.
The first Kingdom Hearts.
And I mean, some people are obviously turned off by the Disney. Some people are turned off by the Kingdom Hearts part. I loved it when I was a kid because I was like, I get to see Disney characters in my JRPG.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna complain. It had a fun story. It had some fun little things. It was a really fucking janky ass game. Good music and everything. And then of course Kingdom Hearts 2, which is in most old boomers' cases is the pinnacle of Kingdom Hearts, was a really good game too.
The problem with Kingdom Hearts, it always fucking is won the timeline.
Yeah.
The release of games, how everything's kind of told out of order and weird, and then how all the side games have like massive plot relevance, but like in ways you wouldn't expect. Very weird. That's
where I say that Kingdom Hearts is the start of Nomura's downfall. Is that after Kingdom Hearts 2 is the start of his downfall. It's because, God, the guy cannot write just a straight story, beginning, middle, end to save his fucking life.
Yeah.
To save his life.
There's always going to be some bullshit.
It's got to be... well, okay, I won't say that. He can, because there are games that signify that he could.
Like The World Ends With You.
Which is still one of my favorite games. And actually, he wasn't even a fucking director for that one.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Dude!
He was a producer, character designer.
Yeah! Anytime he's a director, he takes the old school Japanese approach, where nothing is explained, but they use verbiages and words to give you a feeling of an explanation.
Which I like in a lot of pieces of media.
Yeah, exactly.
If it wasn't for the fact that a lot of Japanese media, a lot of entertainment and art is extremely plot heavy.
Yes.
So it's like in some Western media you'll get some of that, like, when we covered Possession.
Mm.
But you can still understand what's going on because the plot really isn't the focus of the movie. The characters are the focus of the movie and their dynamics, and so it works when people speak in emotional language rather than in logical language.
Yeah.
But a lot of these games, to create the character dynamics, or I say games, but it happens in manga and anime as well, in sort of Japanese entertainment, a lot of it is to move the character dynamics and to create character arcs is reliant on the actual plot. And it's extremely plot heavy, but you're using emotional language to describe logical events that happen in the plot. Doesn't work. Doesn't make any fucking sense. It's impossible to follow.
Because then you have to start explaining that, and then you start making up words like nobodies and somebodies and the Kingdom Hearts and the Heartless.
Like you made a very apt comparison between Nomura and Kubo, where it seems like Nomura's entire sort of theme as a storyteller, not a character designer, but an actual director.
As an actual director.
Is just that one memed panel from Bleach. The heart.
The heart.
It's just all the heart.
And it's like, what do you mean, though? Like, what are you trying to, like...
Dude, I don't think he knows.
He doesn't.
I don't think it matters to him. I think at the end of the day, he's an artist first, and aesthetics and the tone and the atmosphere of something is more important to him than the message.
That's kind of what I've come to realize with Nomura, especially after Kingdom Hearts 3. And Kingdom Hearts 3 was already a mess in its own right, especially making that game. That game was a mess. And obviously, all Kingdom Hearts fans will always die by Kingdom Hearts and everything, and they'll think they can explain the story, but they really don't. They just kind of make up words.
No, they love it because of the aesthetic.
Exactly.
Like, it's PSA, stop pretending.
Yeah.
You like it because
you
of
like
the
you
aesthetic.
like seeing Disney characters do cool stuff. You like seeing Sora do.
You like the tone, the atmosphere created by the music, and the character designs, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with
But don't
that.
come at us saying that this story is like once in a generation or anything.
It's not. It's basic bitch ass shit.
Yeah.
Like, which is fine. Again, as a piece of entertainment goes, that's not a problem.
No, never has been. Never
because
will be.
you know, like I say, like, you know, when it comes to entertainment, the way to make good entertainment is to either have an original premise or to have an unoriginal premise but have new execution and how you execute that.
Yeah.
So Kingdom Hearts, not a new premise. The fucking oldest story in the book. Oh, morality. Oh, good and evil, purpose and apathy. Blah
the
blah
heart.
blah. Right? Like, it's all that shit that's, you know, been around forever, but it's just done in a different execution. Right? So it's fine. You like the execution. It told an old story in a way that connected with you.
Yeah.
There's no problem with that. But like, that's why you like it.
It's not this new thing that's Kingdom Hearts has been told time and time again. It's tales old as time. We've been having this fucking same story since the epics of old, since like Greeks and everything. Like we know the story's fine. Right? Story's fine. Which I'd be okay with for Nomura if he would just leave it at that. If he would just let his stories be fun, entertaining, and nothing else.
Yeah, so moving on to Remake, Final Fantasy VII Remake, we've established Nomura as a guy who cares predominantly about aesthetics. But it seems like the remake isn't that. He's actually trying to go for something.
Here's the thing. A lot of the early interviews for FF7 Remake, Nomura and some of the other co-directors and producers were adamant on not being reckless. There's that word, reckless with the original source material, by having change but also being faithful. And there's a point in Nomura's context where he's almost spiteful of purists. You know, we'll call them purists. Yeah. Those people, and I won't deny that I wasn't maybe one of them back in the day too, where I was like, I just want FF7 to be brought into modern graphics. All I've ever wanted. It's all I want. But then as years go by, I'm like, you know, I'm okay with a more modern retelling because there's things that obviously the FF7 does poorly. One of them being the story can be very convoluted if you don't know what you're looking for in the story. It's very convoluted, very weird, very odd.
It's a JRPG.
And that's a JRPG in general. Certain JRPGs, I think Chrono Trigger does a really good job with its story as a good JRPG aesthetic, and FF7 has some problems. Obviously, minigame-wise, it's obviously turn-based, so that turns off a lot of people. A lot of the dialogue is very, very, very dated. Very, very dated. Barrett speaking in Ebonics.
In Ebonics, yeah.
And
what you mean by that?
And I wanted to see it be brought into a more modern, more different retelling with like variations and improvements and additions that would be very welcome and very, very.
I mean, you wanted like mainly like a gameplay change and maybe, you know, clear up the plot and correct some of the pacing.
Yes,
is kind of what you were.
That's what I was looking for. That's what I wanted. And when the game first begins, it feels like it.
Yeah.
It almost feels like I got exactly what I wanted. I was so happy.
And then he goes, "You thought you wanted this, but actually."
When that game first begins and you hear the train and you see Cloud jump off that train, I was like, yes. I almost felt like a child again. I was looking with my child brain, seeing like, this is it, Nate. Like looking at my child, it's like, this is it. This is what you wanted, dude.
Right.
20 or so years from now, this is what you're gonna get. And then after the bomb run, after that perfect beginning, you meet Aerith. And I was like, there she is. There she is. The waifu war herself. You know, Tifa versus Aerith. Who's gonna win? Type. And then you see the time Jannies. And then you see the Whispers of Fate.
Right.
And we saw them in the promotional material. And I was wondering, I was like, what are those things? I thought they were like, maybe it was like additions to maybe the plot in certain ways. But no. No. Here's the thing. Nomura was so spiteful about purists that he put them in the fucking game.
Right.
So basically, for context, Whispers of Fate is the planet itself. Basically, the planet is saying, hey, this timeline already happened, FF7. We need to keep the timeline the same way for some reason. Never explained why it needs to be the same exact way. Never explained.
Just wait for the sequel, dude.
Yeah, I know. I know. Why does the planet want there to be the cataclysm of the meteor? Why would the planet want that? Why would the life stream of the souls of the ancients want that? Never really explained, but hey, fate.
I'm sure whatever the explanation will be unsatisfying.
Will be very unsatisfying for me. It will be beyond unsatisfying. But here's the thing. It almost feels like I couldn't help at the time feeling like I was being spited on. Like the game was the Nomura and everyone else was looking at me and saying, "Hey,
he was dunking on you."
They're dunking on me for wanting to play FF7 in 2020.
Like, what are you, some fucking nerd?
They dunked on me, and I hate to admit it, but after I beat the game, I did cry a little bit because I was so sad. So disappointed.
Damn, dude, he dunked on you hard.
I'm not gonna lie, it hurt. It hurt a lot.
Cool guy Nomura with his cool guy hair.
He's so base, bro.
Look at his fucking nerd
He's so
cry.
base. It's funny because everywhere that there's not time ghosts, the game is great. I'm getting what I want.
Except for the Sephiroth shit.
Except for Sephiroth and the time ghosts. And I even said it to one of my friends once. Honestly, I would be okay with this whole plot of this is another Sephiroth. Basically, when the original Sephiroth died in the live stream, his will was so powerful, he surmounted that and got into a different timeline, basically.
Right.
That's JRPG shtick as oval, but I'm okay with that because that's an interesting way to look at things. Now there's a Sephiroth out there that actually knows Cloud, and there's Sephiroth that doesn't know Cloud.
Yeah.
And now there's this cool dichotomy of like, hey, can we break down like why everyone keeps thinking that Cloud and Sephiroth are these mortal enemies despite the fact that they've never fucking met besides the one time they shanked each other. But no, instead it's, hello, Cloud. Don't you want to, you should be with me, Cloud.
Dude, let's bang.
Let's bang, Cloud.
Give me that sweet little fucking
The amount of
pussy.
eye fuckery he keeps giving Cloud in this game is uncomfortable. I'm sitting there like, dude.
Yo, somebody call the cops.
I'm gonna call the cops on you, bro. Who are you? What are you doing here? Needless to say, the game it could be so much more than what it is. So what I'm seeing from after all these years is that Nomura, it's about destiny. It's about breaking the tides of fate, right?
Well, getting into that in spite, because I had some questions to play like devil's advocate.
Go for it.
For Nomura. I mean, do you think that maybe somewhere in his head he's like, you've already played this game. Like, yeah, I could do a very true to the plot and character motivation remake where I upgrade, the graphics, gameplay, character designs, and all that. But you already have that story. So what if, because this game has a very different thematic or message or artistic message in it, right? Where it's no longer about accepting who you truly are and embracing that, finding strength in that, but rather about some shit about fate or
breaking the bonds of fate and all that.
Which again, like trading one cliched theme for another, like who the fuck who cares? But like, I can understand artistically why you wouldn't want to just do the same thing again, even though he didn't write the original. But like, he was a big part of it, as the character designer, you have a hand in everything. So like, I can get why he wouldn't want to make the same thing again. I can also, to a certain degree, understand the spite, I guess. Dude, because you gotta remember, like, Nomura was coming off of making Kingdom Hearts.
I get it, and
having to deal with Kingdom Hearts fans.
Exactly.
Which is like, I don't envy anyone having to deal with fucking Kingdom Hearts fans.
I have never disagreed with him on his angst towards just purists and just people that are don't want change. I've never disagreed with that. I wanted change. Obviously, I want the story to be better and be less convoluted. That's what I wanted to change. My changes were...
But not like the actual main thematic message of the story.
Yes, and to that end, he's right, and he got me, and I was the one that got.
Yeah.
I just wanted my story about acceptance of yourself, about the will of people and the goodness and all that stuff, all the cliches. And I wanted it brought into 2020 graphics and combat system, themes, character designs, yada yada. And I got dunked on. And I freely admit that I got dunked on. I did. But here's the problem. Your game is not a game anymore. Now it's a game about a game about a game.
Yeah.
That's about a game. That's my issue.
It's also like, I think the problem is if you're going to do that, if it's almost like when you remake something and then you look to the original audience, like say you remake a movie.
Yeah.
Like say you're the fucking guy who made the American version of Old Boy.
Old Boy.
And you screen it for an audience for the first time and there's fucking dead silence after, and you're like, why aren't you clapping? And it's like, I don't know, dude. Maybe because you missed the fucking point.
You missed the point.
Like, if you're going to take something that people love and have a great amount of affinity to, for whatever the reason that they have, affinity for it, you have to have a pretty bulletproof replacement if you're going to change the main artistic message of that piece of art. Like, there can't be any misses. It has to be fucking good, dude. Otherwise, people are going to be mad as fuck. Right? So it's like...
It's the very end of the game. The game says the unknown journey will continue,
right?
Because that's what he wanted. He said, "Hey, this is not your grandma's Final Fantasy VII. This is our new Final Fantasy VII." So at the end of the game, you're supposed to fight the Whispers. You go to a timeline where they lost, or there's a dead Midgard or whatever, and you fight the Whispers of Fate. You fight these arbiters who are supposedly supposed to be Tifa, Barrett, and Cloud of that timeline, protecting the original timeline, FF7, which I cannot fucking stand timeline shit. Nomura, you suck at timelines, dude. I don't know what the fuck to tell you.
You didn't learn your lesson, old man.
You didn't learn your lesson from Kingdom Hearts. Why are there fucking 5 different Xehanorts? Why? It doesn't make sense. Anyways, at least for this one, I kind of get it, right? It's the original timeline saying, no, we are the Final Fantasy. We are the ones that need to exist. And the current one saying, no, this is a new story with new tales and new themes. Let us do our thing. And to that end, why did you put the Time Ghost in there? Why not just change the story?
Right.
My biggest question is, why not just make the changes to the story that you did and leave everything else alone?
Here's my really cynical view of it.
Go on.
So I'm done playing devil's advocate for Nomura.
Yeah.
I'm going to give my cynical take on this, just from sort of my secondhand exposure to this franchise from you. And sort of like I said, I played like the first Kingdom Hearts. I played like 2, a little bit 2, and I think I played some of the DS games. So I'm vaguely familiar with Nomura as an artist. I think a lot of it, like cynically, I'm a pretty cynical person.
Yeah, you are.
So
yeah.
I think Nomura did good work 20 years ago, and he went, man, my fucking wallet's feeling a little bit light, dog. I got fucking ramen to buy, dude. My kids gotta eat, dog. Shit. And so he looked at some good work he did 20 years ago, and he was like, how can I use this? But also, like, he does like to pretend to be an artist. I don't think Nomura's ever had anything interesting to say about anything, which like is fine. Again, like whatever, dude. Like that's fine. Like not every artist is gonna be a game changer, is something to say, that's new. Not everybody's fucking Grant Morrison, dude. Like at the end of the day, right? Not everybody's Alan Moore. Some people are just
they know the themes they like and they stick to them, and that's okay.
Some people are just Dan Slott, and that's fine. Which if you don't if you don't know comic books, none of that's gonna mean anything to you.
Slott, dude.
But like, I think it's just, okay, I have work that I did that people love. I'm going to reuse that work, but I am an artist, and I have something to say.
I have something to say.
Right? And also, like, that he wasn't the writer of the original, and I think he's like, maybe feels a little bit of jealousy, towards his own success, despite the fact that he wasn't the main creative vision, having subsequent projects that, were very successful where he was the main creative vision, and I think he feels vindicated, and to some extent I'd say rightfully so.
Rightfully.
Like he has fucking moved units, dude. Like he's a successful guy. So
And there's this loud majority of people who are just like, stop changing my game. Yeah, I just want my game. And I'm like, dude, shut the fuck up.
and so yeah, I think too, like, you know, every successful artist who's worked in one industry for decades is going to feel some sort of way about fandom.
Yeah.
Where
Especially when there's a fandom that's very adverse to change.
You know, and I think that there is, again, kind of not necessarily defending, but to sort of there is a history of that in Japanese art and entertainment. I don't know why, but I think it's just something culturally for them, some aspect of their culture that makes them over time become sort of maybe more spiteful than Western entertainment or art. Because, you know, there are many examples of fans receiving changes to a manga poorly, and then the mangaka absolutely driving the story into the fucking ground.
Mm-hmm.
Or, you know, Hideki
Anno, maybe.
Who, you know, we'll talk about Evangelion one day, but that's a long ass podcast.
Yeah.
Where I maintain that the original Evangelion and end of Evangelion movie is one of the most spiteful pieces of art ever fucking made.
It is.
But it's not spiteful in the way that Possession is spiteful, where it's spiteful towards like women. It's spiteful towards its own fans. And so I do think, like I said, that there's a tradition of that in Japanese art and entertainment. And so, like, you know, he's not the only one to do it. I don't think you can necessarily hold him over the coals for that, because it's like, I think it's just something culturally.
Yeah, I mean, what you're saying about culture, that's what I was leading into. Like,
because I think there's a difference between Japanese fans and American fans, and
yes.
I think for the most of his career, he's been dealing with Japanese.
Japanese fans are very fucking vengeful, spiteful.
They're crazy.
You can even see it from like what are they called? The idols. Idols. Anytime there's a small change to like one of the idols, or what's the thing? They can't even have boyfriends.
Yeah.
They can't have boyfriends. They can't have love lives. They can't barely have friends without their fans getting all
fucking stalking them and just being weird.
It's crazy.
Like, yeah.
And you think it's bad? You think it's bad in America? Nah, dude. It's way worse. It's fine. And to that, I again, I freely admit, like, yeah, like he has every right to feel the way he did. He has every right to be as vindictive as he could about it.
But it doesn't. It's not going to make a good piece of art.
No, it's not.
Like,
what I'm saying,
it's like, even if it's understandable, it's still like, if you're trying to make a piece of art, why do that? It detracts from what you're doing.
If you're trying to make and so here's the thing, though. The game is basically this spiteful. It's a spiteful take on purists, but also him saying, "Hey, this is what we're going to change the game to." What about the people that never played the original FF7? I want to recommend FF7 to them. What if they only see FF7 Remake, like, and they want to play it?
Someone who's tried to, you know, play it as an adult, dude. Like, the original FF7 is hard to get into.
It's really... No, I agree. Like, I perfectly agree with that.
It's super outdated.
It's super outdated.
So
even
it's
with
like,
all the new... Even with all the current mods, even with everything you could ever add to it to make it faster, to make it more cohesive, to make the frame rate higher, it's still hard to get into. And I completely understand that. That's not my question, though. Someone says, I've heard about this FF7 game before. How do I get into it?
You don't.
Example. You could. Some people do like turn-based. I was going to say, example, RE4. RE4 and RE4 Remake. RE4 Remake is a fucking great remake.
Well, yeah, it's a fairly... I mean, there's differences, but it's a fairly straight remake.
It's very straightforward. It does have differences. Story beats are changed. Obviously, a lot of the dialogues changed. Yeah. Voice actors are changed.
It's definitely less hammy.
It's definitely less hammy, which is fine. Like, I would prefer the hammy, but at the same time, I can recommend... If someone's like,
that's
hey...
that's a trade-off. Like, some of the aesthetic and sort of hammy and campiness, not corniness... was traded off for other quality of life improvements.
Exactly.
Like the fucking camera.
RE4. I still think the aim.
Ever.
I still think the aim is not as good as RE4's though. The aiming.
Like my wife is a huge Resident Evil fan. She's played all of the remake games and quite a few of the originals. Resident Evil 4 which is the original. Is one of her favorite games, and she loved the remake. She had no complaints about it. So, but yeah, I think they're pretty good remakes.
But like, I can recommend someone to say, hey, you want to play RE4, you should play the original one. But, you know, the game's kind of old. You should really play the RE4 remake, because that's a really good modernized version of this
But
game.
I think the original stands up. I don't.
No.
Yeah, like
No,
but
listen,
that's what I mean. That's a difference for me in terms of like I think the game design, the graphics, the controls, even though they are like they're very early 2000s controls. Don't get me wrong.
Exactly.
I think that once you learn that sort of system of play, that you can get pretty easily into the game. I think there's too many barriers with the original FF7.
Well, here's the thing though. Like, if someone's really wanting to, like, I heard the story is really good. Apparently, it's one of the greatest stories for Final Fantasy or something like that. Like, I mean, I want to recommend the game. I can recommend these mods to make it faster for you. Obviously, you can skip a lot of things. There's a lot of ways you can play the game. There's like 10 different ways you can play the game to make it more appealing for turn-based people.
Mm-hmm.
And FF7 Remake does a good job of allowing anyone to get in the game. It plays really well. I freely admit that. The problem is, it's one third of a fucking game. It ends at Midgard.
Yeah.
It ends with the most batshit insane ending that doesn't make sense for people that didn't.
Like a 20-hour game?
30-hour game. I can't remember how fucking long. It's been a while since I played the game. And then there's the worst part is the people that have never touched FF7 or FF in general, and they play this game. What the fuck is their? They know Sephiroth by osmosis, but they don't know what Sephiroth is. Why is he looking at Cloud like that? What's going on? Why are there these arbiters flying around? What do they mean by the arbiters of fate? What is that supposed to mean?
Well, I think by like sort of cultural osmosis that
they know that there's an original game.
That people who are familiar with video games, at least in their mind, like Sephiroth and Cloud, or like Batman and the Joker. Even
exactly.
In the original game, they're not that. And so I think there is also like, if you're Square Enix, from a marketing standpoint,
it makes sense to do that, doesn't it? Put Sephiroth, put Cloud.
Yeah.
This is why you have the ramen bowls with Cloud and Sephiroth. You have the figures with Cloud and Sephiroth and Barrett and all of them. You have the T-shirts. You have the hats. You have all this crap.
So
what does that do for your story?
I think in some ways the remake, because of things like marketing and sales, and
especially now
people
these days,
being aware of it in the public consciousness, even if they haven't played it, there is a conception that lives in people's minds of what Final Fantasy VII is.
Yes. And
so in a way, the remake becomes a victim of the original success.
Yes. Becomes a victim. Again, it's a game about a game. It's not its own game.
Which I hate that shit, dude. I hate stuff that is. I hate movies about movies. I hate games about games. I don't like
this. This is why I'm holding.
The only exception is, I'd say there are rare exceptions. Like Twin Peaks is a show about a TV show, and I think it works sometimes. Not all the time.
Not all the times.
In the episodes that David Lynch directs, I think it works because it is a piece of art that is ultimately about art. But
when you do a piece, but they don't do a good job of making this piece of art about that piece of art. They do a good job at saying the Nomura does a good job at saying, "Hey, this is not the original."
It doesn't have anything interesting.
But there's nothing
to say about the original.
There's nothing that says about the original, like, "Hey, the original was a good thing, but it's also very dated." Or there's no message saying the original is this and that, or we thought this about the original, but now we've come to realize that with further advancements, or maybe as years have gone by, that loss could be something. Nothing.
Right, yeah.
There's nothing. It is. Hey, we're not being tied to fate.
We're not being tied to the original, but you
are tied to the original.
You are tied to the perception of the original.
You don't have a choice.
So what are the thing you had to say is not true. So what are you saying? You're saying nothing.
So what you're saying is nothing. What you're saying is, hey, we had the chance to just make the game.
Which, if it comes around in part 2,
I'm hoping
that's what it's about. That it's like, if to break the change of fate, but we can't. We are intrinsically tied together. Like, that would be, I'd be like, okay, that's a message.
Yeah.
And the sort of frustration of the characters going through that, like,
realizing
this is reaching into speculation, by the way.
Yeah,
but yeah, like,
because
that would be like, okay, that's cool.
There's moments where Cloud where you see the scene of Aerith's death, where Cloud sees like the little tidbits of Aerith dying, where Aerith shows Red 13 that's the part that gets me right there. The bad end. That's what they call it in the game. Red 13 says of a bad future. I'm like, you're calling FF7 the bad ending.
Bad Future is a pretty good name for something too.
That's actually a really good name for it. I don't think he says Bad Future, but I just said that just because I thought that sounded cool. And I think it sounds
cool
name
for like a band or something.
Bad Future. But anyways, they call it in game the bad ending, basically.
Yeah.
As in us stopping Meteor, saving the world, but also maybe losing humanity, or maybe humanity survives but is a pocket humanity. Who knows? But saving the world apparently is the bad ending.
Right.
That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, I mean, what is saving the world if you have to sacrifice your favorite waifu?
I know, right? That's the
What's the point?
So basically, all the people back in the day who all sent in mailing and saying, hey, you need to make an ending where Aerith lives, or hey, there needs to be DLC where Aerith lives, you got it. You finally did it. You just needed to wait 20-odd years to get that ending. Congratulations.
Please buy the new statues of
Please
Aerith.
buy the new statues of Aerith and Tifa and all of them. Yeah, don't you want to see your waifus and statues? And
I know you're 45 and maybe you're married with kids, but please buy the statue. Hey, this is Square Enix. We've ruined every franchise we have. Please buy statues.
Please buy our statues, please. I'm begging you. We'll make NFTs about them. Don't you want to make us NFTs? We could do that. That's what we do.
Dude, Square Enix fucking sucks. Dude, they suck. It's like turning chicken shit. Instead of turning chicken shit into chicken salad, they turned chicken salad into chicken shit.
Chicken shit. You took your original chicken salad recipe and you just made it into chicken shit. Why? Because we had said something about our chicken salad that we're not going to make it the same exact way.
Just fucking go out of business already, dude. Nobody wants you, old man. Go away.
This game, it has some great things. It has a great combat system. I'm glad they brought the AP system into a more modern, non-turn-based, more action-oriented, but still keeping with the AP and the materia system. It's still a good system.
I'm excited. Personally, that's one of the I don't like turn-based systems.
No,
with
okay.
the exception being like Fire Emblem. I like that.
So what about like XCOM and things like that? XCOM games?
Is it the same? Is it like Fire Emblem? I've never played XCOM. So
oh, really? Okay. So,
I hear they're very hard.
They're very hard because there's a lot of percentages and numbers you have to fucking crunch to. Oh, I gotta get my. It says 98%, but I still fucking missed the goddamn snake girl. What the shit?
Dude,
kind of
me
thing.
Fucking playing Baldur's Gate.
Yes, I know, right? I rolled a fucking 1. How? But yeah, I think you would prefer XCOM like what do they call, like turn-based tactics or whatever they're called. Type, I guess. I don't know what you would call it. Strategy turn-based. Strategy turn-based games.
Yeah, or like real-time tactics.
Yeah, real-time tactics. It's big, but there's games like that I think you would enjoy too.
Yeah.
And they bring it more obviously into more of a FF14 or FF15, FF14 where it's more action-oriented, but you can still like slow down time to choose your skills, to switch out people, to switch out materia and stuff like that. And that's really good. It's really fun. It's a really fun game. Each character, while having their own unique moves, can still be anything they want. You can still have Tifa be a healer. You can still have Cloud be a defender.
Like builds.
Yeah, you can still do builds, which is really enjoyable. Again, the character, whoever decided on the character, voice actors and everything, amazing. Stupendous.
How's the music?
Really? Can there be something as over orchestrated, basically, where there's almost like too many. I like a lot of the songs, especially hearing from old FF7 songs into the new FF7 songs. A lot of songs definitely got the upgrades they deserved. But some songs almost feel too over-orchestrated, basically, where they're the original Sephiroth's theme, perfect example. Yeah. Where you hear the piano and you hear...
One Wing Yang is a pretty iconic theme.
It's a very iconic theme, right? But you hear...
It becomes like melodramatic almost.
With this new one, because it's too much orchestra, there's too much bombasticness. The original one's creepy. It's creepy, it's weary, because you don't meet Sephiroth too many times, and the times you meet him, he's this overwhelming force that you don't know what the fuck's about to happen. You don't know if one character's going to die. Obviously, Aerith dies. And I think a lot of things are lost when you have all this too much orchestra, too much drums, too much loud noises, not ruining per se, but overcompensating for a theme that should be the point of the song, but is kind of lost. But the music for most of it's still pretty good. Still plays really well.
Graphically, what do you think?
Graphically, really, it's on the PS4, unfortunately, but it still looks really good. I think it looks really good on PC. I haven't bought it on PC yet, so I can't really say if I haven't put it on 4K or what anything. It still looks really good. Still plays really well. There's really no stuttering I've ever noticed when I was playing the game, other than like maybe during certain combat scenarios where there's too many particles or something like that.
How did you the cutscenes? How did you feel they were directed?
So,
did you like the actual like cutscene direction?
Certain cutscenes went on for too long, and that's because, of course, they had to pad the game because it's only 1/3 of the entire fucking game. And that's the biggest gripe I have with the game personally for me is that there's so much padding. There are sections where you just press triangle to get through a little crevice. That is not gameplay. That's not fun. That has never been fun. That has never been tense. That has never been a good thing.
Press F to pay respects.
Press F to pay respects. When you have these characters who apparently can wield giant slabs of swords, jump around, and slash things, but they have to walk on a tightrope to get over. Oh, there's some monsters down there. I don't want to get down there and fight them. Cloud, you've beaten things worse than those things. Just go down there and fight them.
Yeah, I'm feeling kind of tired. Maybe not right now. Do you know how much time I had to spend doing my hair this morning?
There's a lot of suspension of disbelief that is kind of ruined because you see these characters do this one thing in certain gameplay, which happens in a lot of games, right? In cutscenes, it's different from gameplay, which is a hard thing to get for a lot of games because you have to, especially for story-based games, where something has to happen, but you know this character is strong.
Right.
Why are they losing? Doesn't make any sense. In these certain scenarios where in cutscenes where Cloud can't lift something or can't break something, dude, you've cut through metal objects before.
Are you doing a gag right now?
Are you gagging?
Is this a joke? Is this a bit you're fucking
there's
doing,
There's a bit where they're trying to open the like this metal door. Cloud, you've cut through metal things before. And you see him hit his sword on it and it bounces off. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense. This doesn't make any sense. Some of the cutscenes do look really good, though, especially a lot of like cutscenes that you would... Well, especially when FF7 came out, and obviously you can't really get too many on me. When it was, it was the big thing that you saw these polygon 3D graphic cutscenes in a.
They look like fucking dog shit, dude.
They look bad now. Yeah, they're. Very...
I mean, I can understand maybe in the time they came out, but like when did FF7 come out?
1997.
97. Yeah,
97.
97.
Yep. 97.
And Metal Gear Solid came out, what, 2001?
2001?
Or 2000?
2000, something like that. Yeah, especially that leap from that to there.
Because I always hold, like, old games around that time, I always hold them up to, like, Metal Gear Solid standards.
Metal Gear Solid.
I mean, even Metal Gear Solid, it was like, the game, it still doesn't hold up, dude.
It doesn't.
The gameplay is frustrating.
Yeah. It
is obtuse and difficult and not super well thought out.
No, it's not. It's not. And that's an amazing thing that we can, this game that's lauded after all those years ago, we can look at today with all this new stuff.
Because it's so obvious after all this time and all the sort of innovations that have been done to it, especially gameplay. Obviously graphics, but gameplay in particular.
Game design in general, having come from what it once was to what it is now, is very different. Because again, we're in 2023 and we still have fucking video games that suck ass at gameplay.
Yeah. With
all the newfangled technology we have, you still suck ass at making good gameplay.
Starfield.
Bethesda. Fucking Bethesda.
What the fuck is wrong with you guys?
But yes, FF7 does a lot of good things with good stuff. A lot of the cutscenes are directed really well. They
Todd, are you okay, dude? Big guy. What's going on?
Mr. Broad Roward, are you all right? Do you need help? And like I said, if they add some stuff too, they add some like character defining moments for a lot of the characters. They add some new cutscenes for things that you would have never thought of, and a lot of characters that back in the day were just like these one-off joke characters are now like actually they're joke characters, but they still have like fleshed out moments. They still have like little funny gags here and there. It's not a completely lost game. Right. It has good stuff. It's just that it's stuck in this loop of I'm trying to tell my artistic point by missing the point.
Yeah.
And I'm so disappointed.
In and of itself, like it's like modern comics in a way where Nomura is almost writing for the trade. Instead of making every individual issue its own contained story that leads into an overarching plot, it's like, nah, after 6 issues, you'll have a story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, just make a self-contained story first.
You can do Remake Part 1 as its own story that leads into the overarching story, but at least to have it have like a satisfying beginning, middle, and end as its own experience.
It's its own experience. That way I can recommend, say, hey, you don't have to play FF7 Rebirth. I think it's the next one.
Yeah, you don't have Rebirth. Yeah, you don't have to.
You can play FF7 Remake and just still get the fun.
To get a story.
Yeah, like you can end it on FF7 Part 1 and just be like, yeah, man, that's a really good game. But no, I can't. I can't because now I have to fucking play Rebirth, or I'm not gonna play it. But
no, you gotta play it.
First off, I don't have PS5.
We gotta get a follow up. It'll come to PC in 2 years. We'll do a follow up in 2 years. Story. That's just same thing with me with Spider-Man 2, dude.
Spider-Man 2. That's right. Yeah, that's right. Oh god.
Don't worry, we'll play it in 2 years.
At the end of the day, my hatred and my I had tears. I had tears. Yes, make fun of me. They were all tears. There's only one. There's one person.
You're the fucking crying Sojak, dude.
Yeah, that's funny. My friend Arnold can tell you because he was the only person that's ever seen me get that way about a video game. Because he played it too along with me, and then after he played it, he's like, "So what do you think about the game?" And I got up from my chair and I walked around my room and I was like screaming. I was like, "There's all these things that don't make like the game is good, but it's this doesn't make sense." And what I said at the end always gets me. It's like it's almost like they're spiting me for wanting to love a fucking video game.
That's my boy. That's my son.
That's my boy. That's my boy. This is my son right here. I just wanted a really good FF7 remake. That's all I wanted. If you had to make it 3 parts, honestly, I'll be a little miffed about it, but I'll be okay. Just
no, dude.
Make the first part self-contained.
Nomura had to dab on you, dude. He couldn't contain himself. So, all right, that brings us up to the final part ratings. Out of 10, obviously you can do decimal points. What would you rate original FF7? Taking into account the time in which it was made, the technology.
Let me say it. Taking into account all the improvements we've had over the years.
Well, I guess taking into account, but disregarding them, I suppose.
Well, taking it on this point, but also replaying the game years later, because I used to do that a lot, especially when I joined the servers. I used to play FF7 at least once a year, just to play it. And knowing what I know now, seeing what the game is, having watched all these things about FF7, it's like the whole overall, like everything. I can't
the game on its own.
The game on its own.
Yeah. No sort of outside pieces of media. The game experience.
Not even compilation, James? But compilation's the best part, James.
I don't know what that is.
Advent Children Crisis Core. Yeah, no, exactly.
No, shit.
Child me and teenage me would have given it like a 9.8.
Mm-hmm.
Today, I gave it like a 7.5.
Really?
7.5.
Wow, that's lower than I was expecting.
It's low because despite all that I love about the game, minigames are dog shit. They've always been dog shit. Story has convoluted parts.
Right.
A lot of the writing does not land anymore, especially.
Well, I mean, you're not a child.
I'm not a child anymore. Yeah. A lot of it doesn't land. And especially knowing, Ebonics Barrett, fucking a lot of the native
Ebonics Barrett is not a
No. A lot of the natives talking in literal.
Ebonics Barrett was based.
He's a cool dude. I liked him. He's cool. He had some really fun parts. Anyways, 7.5. 7.5 in the fact that it is still a really good game, and yes, turn-based.
So you'd recommend it? It's
I would recommend if you
to a modern audience.
If there's a modern person that likes turn-based games, I recommend FF7.
No.
Would I recommend it to everyone? No, it doesn't. I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah, fucking Fortnite brainlets stay out.
No, they would die within the first part of the game. They would die. They would die because their brain's not getting that dopamine strike of whatever sounds or whatever bullshit. No, but I think of all Final Fantasies, besides 4 being my favorite, it's still one of my top 3 favorite Final Fantasies of all time.
Right. So what would you rate Remake out of 10?
If the time Jannies were gone, I would rate it.
No.
If the time Jannies were gone, I would rate it at least an 8.9. Because it still falls flat on certain instances. It's still 1/3 of a full game.
Right.
But it holds up. It it gets a modern audience into it because obviously a lot of people have played the game and it's now part of the zeitgeist. It's now part of the fucking cultural zeitgeist now, and it still plays well. But with all the shit that's in the game now, say a 5.7.
Damn.
It's only half. It's
So
one
I'm
half is
guessing-
good.
I'm guessing not a recommend then. Yeah. What would you if somebody wanted an experience like Final Fantasy Remake? What would you recommend instead?
Does that have to be a Final Fantasy game?
No, it can be any similar.
So they're
game.
saying like you're saying they want to play. They saw FF7
like an
Remake.
action RPG.
JRPG. Has to be a JRPG, I guess.
No.
No, it
Just
doesn't?
any action RPG.
Damn.
Because I mean, FF7 Remake is an action RPG, not really a JRPG.
Yeah, these days. JRPG's kind of lost. JRPG is kind of a blanket term now, umbrella term these days.
Well, it's just
now.
any kind of RPG.
Yeah, exactly.
Japan,
For action, that's a tough one. I played Final Fantasy Strangers of Paradise, and that was pretty fun. It had a fun little system. You can change your class. That's a really fun action game for in Final Fantasy universe that if you like Final Fantasy, you would like.
Yeah. So,
But as far as action RPG goes, I mean, Souls in general are just the way to go for a lot of people.
yeah,
Souls games.
yeah.
Any Souls games, Bloodborne, obviously, Sekiro being like the best ones.
No.
No?
Well, not Sekiro. You think Sekiro is one of the best ones? I don't think we've ever had this conversation. I rate Sekiro super low
Really? Why that?
because it relies entirely on parrying, and once you get good at parrying, the game's easy as fuck.
Yeah.
That's what I don't like about it.
I mean,
It takes away when you learn how to parry, it takes away all
You
the
can say that
challenge
about
from
any
the game.
Souls game, though. Once you learn how to roll, you're done with the game.
I feel like there's enough variation in enemies in Bloodborne and in DS3 that there are some enemies that you can't roll your way through, and there's some enemies you can't parry your way through, just because especially when you get into like some of the DLC for Bloodborne, trying to fucking parry like Maria at certain points is borderline fucking impossible.
It's not actually.
I mean, it's hard. Yeah. How long did I take you? How many times did I watch you try to beat Maria? Dude? Like
a lot.
So,
But I see what you're saying. I mean, that's not.
hold on.
Fair,
We're gonna table this discussion. This is a whole nother.
Yeah, we'll
podcast.
table that one.
Yeah.
That's not fair. Okay, anyway, yeah, you're right. Yeah. So, but yeah, FF7. FF7 Nomura.
Complicated game with a complicated history.
Nomura, please just stop with the timeline bullshit. Stop with space and destiny and time shit, and stop with all that crap. That stuff has never been fun. It's never been good. It's really hard to do that, and you don't do it well. You've never done it well. Just make a good story. Use all the things that you've always done over the years. Friendship, the darkness, the light, all that stuff. All the crap that you've always done, and just make a good game.
So, ending it off, Nathan, you remember that cheese I liked that I couldn't remember the name of? Turns out it was Swiss cheese. if you fucking get that reference, comment below.
Swiss cheese.
Anyway, I guess next time we'll be talking about. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna talk about All-Star Superman and Final Crisis and kind
I'm gonna have
of
to read
Grant
that,
Morrison as a whole. Yeah,
Grant Morrison as a whole, dude.
Yeah.
I've actually.
I mean, we're not going to talk about all of his works because
Okay.
I think like something like The Invisibles or Flex Mentality deserve kind of their own thing. But his Superman work, because ultimately Final Crisis is Superman's
That's
story.
Superman's story. Yeah.
So yeah, we'll end up talking about his.
We'll talk
Superman
about
stuff.
that. We want to talk about Ava. We want to talk about. There's a lot of anime, obviously, we want to talk about. I'm sure there's some more video games we can talk
Yeah,
about. There's only a lot of video games.
we got like fucking endless amount of shit to talk about.
We have
so.
a lot of shit to talk about. But, yes, FF7 Remake is garbage. Don't ever play the game.
If you disagree, fucking tell me why.
You're
even
wrong.
though You're probably wrong.
You're probably wrong. You're more
but
than
there's
likely.
nothing wrong with being wrong,
No.
except that you're wrong. So, just let us know.
Signing off.
Anyway, peace out.